When I was in kindergarten, this rat-looking bitch always was getting into something. One day this girl literally peed on the floor. I'm talking a river of piss, and she stood there crying, and then this kid came into the classroom and slipped in that bitch's piss, and holy crap, that dude probably got a mouthful of pee, because all I remember was him passing out and an ambulance had to get this kid cause we all thought this kid died from slipping on piss. Happy cat.
So basically there was this ugly, crusty, musty, hoe-looking ass bitch named Sarah. She was one of my friends, but she was so toxic and she always body shamed me. But one day I decided to end it all. After that, she decided to steal my mans and make everyone hate me. But then I had enough of her shit, so I made everyone hate her because I exposed her and I told them all her secrets. I got my mans back too, but I didn't think that was enough, so then I leaked her number, and I also leaked her to the dark web. And when we were in school, I decided to poison her with bleach. She began feeling sick and all, and then she passed out. Sadly, she didn't die. She was in the hospital for a week, but she moved away ever since that happened, and I don't regret anything I ever did to her because that ugly, mist crust, stinky looking ass bitch deserved it. Smiley.
MK. So when I was like 8, I was playing monkey in the middle with my 2 friends in one of their backyards. And their neighbor's yard is right behind it, so if one of us threw it over the fence, we would have to go back and get it first, so we weren't in the middle. So then I overthrew it, and went running to their neighbor's backyard, but their neighbor had this huge ass dog. We're talking German Shepherd, and I go running to go get the ball and run past the neighbor's door. But the door screen was broken, so the dog went running out and bit me right on the booty cheek. And so then my friend's mom came out and saw me on the floor with my bloody booty cheek, and we went to my other friend's house and she checked my bloody booty cheek to see it got worse. So then I went home, but that thing was nasty, so we went to the doctor, and now I have a giant scar on my right booty cheek. Smirking cat face. Smirking cat face.
When I was in 8th grade, I gave myself a nipple piercing with a needle and an earring. I had it for about 3 weeks. And about a week ago I fell off the bike and the skin that was holding the piercing hole split in half, so now I have a Todoroki nipple.
One time, when I was 12, I went to one of my friends' house. She had an older brother, and he went out to a party that night. When me and my friend were sleeping, I felt somebody tap my leg in the middle of the night. It was her older brother telling me to go in his room. I did. We started making out, and long story short, we started doing the dirty. It was my first time too. The next day, I went back home and started complaining about how my pee burned. My mom took me to the doctor, and the doc asked me if I was sexually active. My mom got mad. She thought the doc was crazy for asking a 12-year-old, but long story short, I had a urinary tract infection, and to this day my mom says I shouldn't use bath bombs because that's what she thinks caused it.
One time my mom took me to a baseball game and I asked her if I could get some cotton candy. She said no, you are already fat. I was so upset I was ready to punch her. A few minutes later a player hit the baseball and it came flying at us. I ducked and it hit my mom right in the face. I started laughing and said, ha 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 ha, that's karma, bitch, for not buying me the cotton candy. I noticed we were on the Jumbotron, so I started shaking my juicy thick ass and screaming. The medical people helped my mom and then we got thrown out. My mom was so mad. When we were in the car I was still mad about the cotton candy thing. I saw a piece of paper and a pen and wrote, "Help me, I'm being kidnapped," and held it up to the window. Like for part. Okay, so a few months back me and my 3 friends, all boys, had a sleepover at one of the boys' house, and we were really horny that night, so we had sex that night and it felt really good and we did it for hours. So when I was a little kid I would go with my aunt and stay there since my parents were at work. My aunt had 3 children. Both of them were boys and one of them was a girl, and so when I would stay with them they would treat me horrible. Sometimes my 2 cousins, the boys, would bully me and I would go cry in their bathroom. I was like 5 and my aunt would do nothing. My other cousin, the female one, would sometimes go in the bullying. One time one of their cousin destroyed their Lego creation and so they blamed it on me and they started yelling at me so much, and so I stayed in the bathroom, and when I went back home I would beg my mom to never return me, and so I didn't return to see them for like 1 or 2 years. Now I see them and I still hate the 2 boys, but I'm getting along with the girl cousin. My aunt and me are okay. So when I was in 7th grade I rode the bus every day and our bus was overcrowded with kids, and one day 2 kids got into a fight over a Gatorade bottle and someone threw it out the window and it ended up hitting a guy who had his car, who had his window down. The guy got mad and decided to chase our bus with a loaded gun while yelling at us, threatening to light us up. The bus was basically on a high-speed chase and the bus driver had to call the police because nobody would get off at the bus stop because we thought the man was going to shoot us up. The police had to escort us to every stop for that day, and the 2 kids got suspended for being dumbasses and nearly getting us attacked. Once in kindergarten I was on the bus and I was sitting next to my crush and he said he liked me and I told him I liked him too and we both went under the seat and we kissed for like 1 minute until someone else caught us. They bullied us for the next 2 years. Hey guys, story time. When I was in kindergarten I was on the bus sitting next to this mean ass bitch, I don't remember her name. There was a girl behind us and she kept saying her stomach hurted and that she needed to poop. So me and the girl I was sitting next to, we straight ignored that bitch. So time flew by on the bus, and then I start smelling shit. Like literally disgusting, smelling like dog shit ass poop. So I look under the seat and I see this big ass pile of diarrhea poop. That shit stunk. I couldn't help myself and I kept looking under the seat to look at the poop. The girl next to me kept telling me to stop looking at it. Like bitch, if you don't shut yo skin tone chicken bone Google Chrome no home flip phone disowned ice cream cone garden gnome extra chromosome metronome dimidome genome full blown monochrome student loan Indiana Jones overgrown Flintstone X and Y hormone friend zone Sylvester Stallone Sierra Leone AutoZone professionally seen silver patron head ass the fuck up I'll beat your ass. Eventually someone came on the bus and picked up the poop.
When I was in 7th grade, I met this girl in my bus and her name was Lexi. Well, me and Lexi got really close. My middle school was divided into 3 different schools, so me and Lexi went to the same school but a different section of our school, and we also took the same bus. Anyways, one day when I was walking to class through one of the schools, I saw this cute ass guy and I asked her about him cause she went to school with him, and she told me that it was one of her friends. And that if I wanted her to mention me to him, well, of course I want you to mention me to him, bitch, I think he's cute. Well, he sent me a little note telling me I was cute or whatever, and then we kept sending notes to each other. But one day as I was walking through one of the schools to get to my class, I saw him with a group of friends and they all started laughing at me. I got really embarrassed and didn't know what was happening, so I went to see Lexi to ask her why he was laughing at me.
Okay, so one time I was at work and my boss came in my office and he asked me was I single. I said why. He said just a curious question. I said I'm okay, but yes I am. Ever since then he continued to ask me out on movie nights and all my favorite places, mind you. IDK how he knows all these things. Most of my coworkers I had lunch with was complaining about him also, and he just kept asking. Next day I went to work, he kept insisting that I give him a hug every day in the morning before clocking in and heading to my office. Until he thought it was okay to touch my ass and I punched him in the chin and proceeded to my office. After work that day I decided to go and talk to the police about it. The next day I came into work and while I was on the way in, the police, with my boss in handcuffs, was on the way out. Comes to find out that was my boss's twin brother. He was arrested before for sexual assault and he killed my boss, and have been acting like him for a few months. So back in 8th grade I used to be friends with this super rich white girl who was totally fake, but I didn't realize it at the time. Anyways, we were having dinner at her house when her brother comes in. And when I tell you this man was hot, he was drop on the floor and I kind of hot. My mouth dropped like a fish out of water and he looked at me kinda weird. Anyways, fast forward to when my friend and I were getting into bed to go to sleep. I heard this big thump on her wall. My friend was taking a shower so she didn't hear it, and so I went into the next room and sure enough her brother was there in nothing but a towel and this man's was ripped. We were just staring at each other for what felt like 30 minutes until he smiled and said take a picture, it'll last longer. And ever since I was young I've always been good at witty comebacks, so I just blurted out, take off the towel and then I'll have something to photograph. And he laughed and shut the door behind me and asked if I've ever given head before, and I said no. So he said it's okay, I won't judge you since it's your first time. So you know I gave him that Glock 3000 and now we have been dating for 3 years.
One time I was showering and left my phone in my room. My mom went through it and saw vids of me smoking and she saw my nudes. She claimed I wasn't a virgin and called me disgusting. I was 14 at the time, so obviously I was a virgin. So she called my dad and my dad yelled at me even though he's a literal addict to drugs and tried saying I'm in the wrong, so I took my phone and ran away. At first I didn't know where to go and one of my hosts called Miguel called me and I told him how I just ran away from my crib and he came to pick me up. We stayed in his crib and from there we did the deed. A week later I got pregnant and I was freaking out, but he found out I got pregnant and gave me $1,000 to get an abortion and to stay away from him. So right after he went to work I fucked his brother who's like 18 years old.
My best friend had asked me to come over her house, so I did, and she had an older brother named Luis. He would always look at me and I'm not gonna lie, it turned me on because he was hot. But one day my best friend was sleeping and I went to the bathroom. and I walked on him showering and he pulled me inside and we did the nasty, and weeks later I ended up pregnant. Till this day my best friend doesn't know my son is her nephew. So one time I agreed to talk to this boy because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, and I've known him for a long time, so I agreed to talk to him. But he always wanted to FaceTime every single night, but I hate FaceTiming people I don't like, so I would just make up excuses not to call him, but when I didn't I would just go on mute or say that something came up and I'd hang up. But it got out of hand when he started to call me his girlfriend to his friends, and I was not about that, so I had to end it. But I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but he was so clingy and I hate clingy people. So I typed up a whole paragraph pretending to be my dad, saying that he doesn't want us to be boyfriend and girlfriend and he doesn't want us talking ever again, and that I can't date until I am 21. Then I texted him after pretending I still wanted to be with him, but my dad wouldn't let me. But to be honest, the main reason I ended it with him was because I saw a picture he posted on his Snapchat story with him and his friends. And the one friend was really fine, so in reality I stopped talking to him because I wanted his friend. One day my older sister was crying very loud in her room and I was concerned. I walked in and asked her what was wrong. She had just received news that her boyfriend cheated on her while he was out of town. So being the good little sister I am, I wanted revenge on her cheating ass now ex-boyfriend. We had a plan to sneak into his house and replace his shampoo with Nair hair removal cream. It was risky, but we were willing to do anything for revenge. We called his mom and told him he cheated on her and she was disappointed in him. We told her we wanted revenge and the mom was all for it. My older sister drove me to his house when he was gone and his mom was there. She let us in the house and we dumped out his shampoo and conditioner bottles and replaced both bottles with the hair removal cream and left. Later that night his mom sent us a video of my sister's ex-boyfriend running out of the bathroom screaming and crying naked because all his hair had fallen out after his shower and his head was burning, and my sister and I laughed our asses off, and I laughed so hard I peed my fucking pants. Never mess with our family, period. Haha hash fuck you Dylan. One time I was over at my grandmother's and I clicked on a hentai video on YouTube. Now keep in mind I was literally like 6 and had no idea WTF it was at the time. So as I'm watching this girl get her back blown, my grandmother walks in to ask what I want to eat and I change the screen quickly to avoid getting caught. She noticed and snatched my iPad asking what I was watching. Little did she know I deleted all of my search history so she couldn't see it. After questioning me for hours I told her it was a scary movie trailer and I showed her some random horror movie trailer on YouTube and she never suspected a thing. LMAO.
One time in school we were learning math and I was bored because it's math, so I asked the teacher to go to the bathroom. On my way there was this cute guy who walked past me. I decided to be bold and talk to him. He was nice enough to walk me to the bathroom. I finished using the bathroom and walked out to find him leaning against the wall. I told him I would be fine walking to math class alone, but he insisted I go with him somewhere. I was confused and curious, so I went along with it. He took me to a janitor's closet, and when I asked why he took me here, he just looked down and whipped out his.
When I was a senior in high school, my best friend and I took a trip with my parents to Hollywood Beach, Florida during spring break. My parents let us roam free the entire time since they trusted us. After having dinner by ourselves, my best friend and I were walking on the boardwalk when we noticed 3 guys walking behind us. We thought they might have been following us, but we brushed it off. We turned into an alley to head to a store. Those 3 boys followed us down the same alley and soon enough we heard them running towards us. Our adrenaline kicked in and we took off and hid in the store until the coast was clear. We left and immediately head back to the beach house. Upon arrival, a tinted black car stopped in front of our house. We were freaking out cause the door wouldn't unlock. We made it into the house, but bottom line, we almost got kidnapped.
Hey bitches, time to finally tell my dirty little secret. Back in 8th grade, I can't even lie, I was a fucking slut. LMAO. My parents went out of town for the weekend and I slept with not 1, not 2, but 3 guys from a local high school in less than 12 hours. About 2 weeks later I started feeling sick. I told my mom and she took me to the doctors. We then found out I was pregnant. I was questioned by my parents for hours. I didn't know who the dad was. My parents forced me to get an abortion because this would ruin their reputation. I agreed because I didn't want that little shit to stretch out my coochie even more than it already was. I am still a hoe for wondering, and I've learned how to do my own abortions from home.